This is a protein bar, these are protein donuts. Both of these have roughly the same amount of calories and protein, except this, hard as a brick, and this, soft and chewy. It's your choice what you want to eat. Dieting and getting your protein in does not have to be hard. If you want to get your protein in a fun, delicious, simple way, you only need a few ingredients to make these protein donut holes or munchkins. And they're glazed, baby. I made a recipe video for chocolate munchkins, but I don't know if I like chocolate or vanilla more, so we're gonna make vanilla munchkins today. They're gonna be healthy, they're gonna be low calorie, and you can eat munchkins instead of eating protein bars. Exact same calories and macros. Bowl on the food scale because measuring cups are overrated. We're gonna start with regular all-purpose flour. It's all carbs, barely any protein, barely any fat, 110 calories per 30 grams, and we want 60 grams or half a cup of this. All the other ingredients after the flour are gonna add so much more protein to this recipe, but we need this for the chewy donut texture. But flour alone is not gonna give us the absorbency we want. We want more dry ingredients to absorb the liquid in this recipe and get that dough texture. And instead of using more flour, we're gonna use coconut flour. Why? Because it bakes completely differently. Coconut flour has roughly the same amount of calories per the same amount of grams as regular flour. So double this, 120 calories per 30 grams. Flour is 110, almost the same, but coconut flour has way more fiber and more protein, but we only need a little bit, just 15 grams. Because it's way more absorbent than regular flour. Coconut flour, although it has more fiber, more protein, it's way more absorbent than regular flour. So if you use the same amount in both recipes, this one's gonna give you an insanely thicker dough. This is more chewy. That's what you want in a donut hole or a munchkin. You want that chewy texture. So we're gonna use mainly regular flour to get the texture that we want, but a little bit of coconut flour to get extra absorbency and get the calorie savings that we want without adding a boatload of regular flour. The color of coconut flour is a little bit darker, a little bit yellower than regular flour. Completely different baking properties, but these aren't gonna rise. I didn't use self-rising flour. If you did, that's awesome. I just don't have it, so baking powder. And also, while we're at it, a pinch of salt. It's gonna bring out all the flavors. Now let's talk protein. We need two types of protein powders in this recipe, whey protein and casein protein. Why? Because they bake completely differently, just like regular flour and coconut flour. Although these are both protein powders, casein protein, this one, is dairy protein. It's found in Greek yogurt and milk. Whey protein is completely different. Whey protein is what gets skimmed off of the Greek yogurt before you get it in your little container. So, whey protein, when you mix it with water, very wet, very watery, does not get thick at all. When you mix casein with water, it gets insanely thick, kind of looks like Greek yogurt. So this holds on to way more moisture than whey, except whey rises, fluffs up way more when baking. So if you want a munchkin that needs to rise a little bit, get a little fluffy, you need whey protein. But if you just use whey protein, it's gonna be drier than a bodybuilder's calluses. So you've gotta use casein to get the absorbency, but you still need the fluffiness from whey. Use equal amounts of both, 15 grams of casein. Companies will literally charge you an arm and a leg to just mix this in a bag for you. Get them separately from My Protein, the cheapest I've found. I'll leave a link in the description. And mix them yourself, 15 grams of whey. How could I forget? Erythritol, my favorite sweetener. We need 20 grams. This needs to be sweet. The protein powder already has a little bit of sweetener in it, but I want a little more. This also bakes like sugar, so it's gonna give it that same crystallization effect that sugar would. And now mix the dry ingredients. Last ingredient is completely optional, but I saved it for the very end. A little touch of cinnamon. It adds a nice little warmthness that I really like. But if you don't want it, use it. I said so. Okay, final mix. The only wet ingredient we need for all of this is Greek yogurt. 130 grams of this. It's gonna add so much more protein. I lied. I'm gonna add a little pinch of vanilla extract to enhance the flavor, but does vanilla extract count as a wet ingredient? If it's completely mixed in with the Greek yogurt, then it's just vanilla Greek yogurt, and that's one wet ingredient. Mix this all together till a dough ball forms. You gotta be a little bit patient because the wet ingredient to dry ingredient ratio is way off, but that's what you need to do. You don't wanna batter, you wanna make munchkins, donut holes, and it needs to be really dry so you could work with it in your hands. Usually things in your hands don't need to be dry for you to work with them, but these do. It's gonna take a little bit of mixing because the wet ingredient to dry ingredient ratio is way off. But if you're patient and keep mixing, it'll all come together. You want this to be dry so that when you form them into balls, they're dry in your hands, they don't stick to your hands. Usually you don't want balls to be dry, but in this scenario you do. Cocoa butter lotion, get yours today. Just don't use them on your donut holes. The dough should be nice and firm, no more dry powders on it. Shouldn't really stick to your fingers, but put it in your fridge so it gets extra hard and easier to roll out into balls. And while that's in the fridge, do you buy powdered sweetener? If you do, listen to me. I'm trying to help you. Get granulated sweetener, blend it, it will become powdered, and you will save yourself a whole lot of money. 30 grams, but I'm gonna use a little bit more because some of it's just gonna stick to the blender. Wrong way. Blend. And it is perfectly powdered. Look at that. You don't need to buy powdered sweetener, guys, come on. Take this, set it aside, we're gonna use it later. Dough time. We need 25 balls. You take a scoop, You roll it in your hands and it does not stick at all. You take this, put it on a plate. 25 donut holes, that's how many we're making. It's so easy. You can weigh the dough ball out and then weigh each donut hole to make perfect size donut holes. But at the end of the day, if you eat all of these, it doesn't matter how big or small the donut holes are. You know the calories in the entire recipe, and that's all that matters. Also, do you call them munchkins or donut holes? Let me know down in the comments down below. I grew up on the East Coast, by the way. Go to Dunkin' Donuts, get your coffee, get your munchkins. It's amazing. Every single birthday party I celebrated as a kid, like 3rd grade, 4th grade, anytime it was your birthday, you bring the entire class munchkins. It was awesome. And there's so many flavors. Actually, there's like 4. There's jelly, very good. Chocolate, vanilla, glazed, both, and blueberry. Blueberry one hits hard. 25 balls done. Quick spray with some oil spray. I'm just gonna roll them around so all the sides get coated with the oil. Sides, do circles have sides? I mean spheres, cut me some slack. Air fryer, I'm just gonna place them. Don't let them touch each other because they're gonna stick together, clump up together. Also, you wanna give them enough space so that the air can circulate all around the circle or the donut hole or the munchkin and get it real crispy and nice. So don't let the balls touch this time. 350 degrees for 5 minutes. Explain something to me. This is driving me nuts. Why is the R lowercase? Why is the T lowercase? Why? Who designed this? I want to talk to them. Gourmia, tell me why. I love this air fryer though. This thing's ginormous. My head for reference, because that's what I compare everything to. And it's insane. I don't use my oven. I used my oven last night, but air fryer over oven. I love this thing. They're done. Add a little bit of water to the erythritol and mix. Get this into an icing consistency. Perfect. Now these are done. We're gonna dump them all into the icing. When the donut holes are warm, the icing gets on softly, and then as it cools, the icing will harden and it will be so good. Toss these around. Plate them up. $468 calories and 44 grams of protein for all of the munchkins or donut holes on my plate. What do you call them? Let me know, because I call them munchkins, but I think a lot of people call them donut holes because people don't know what munchkins are. They're soft, they're chewy, they got the glaze on the outside, and if you let it sit for just a few minutes, that erythritol starts to harden, gets crispy on the outside, so good. Check out my cookbook, link in the description. It has over 100 recipes that help me lose over 100 pounds. It's gonna make dieting, losing weight, getting your protein in, and eating healthier so much more fun and so much easier. There's a ton of sweet recipes, ton of savory recipes, desserts, meal prep recipes. It's all in the book, and I'm constantly updating it, so when you buy it once, you get all future updates for free. Erythritol on the outside, got that glaze on it. Why do you buy powdered sweetener? Tell me. I could use that money to buy so many other things. Let me know what flavored munchkins you want me to make next. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Watch this. No, I caught it.